It's the Pizza Head Show.
Hey everybody, now Pizza Hut has Connects. Buy a $2.99 Munchdown meal and you can get a different set each week. I just made this plane.
Oh, you like planes?
Yeah.
Well, look what engineer Steve just made for you.
Wait, he's not an engineer.
Sure he is.
Whoa, hey, this isn't bad.
Oh, look, it's Pilot Steve.
Oh, not him again. Uh-oh, mayday, going down. Woo,
Quick, Pizza Head, slip this on.
Oh, thanks a lot. Ah!
See you next time.
Boy, what a lousy flight.
There is truth in advertising, yes I swear. Got new Nikes on my feet and Vidal Sassoon in my hair. I can sure use a Budweiser fruit of the loom underwear. There is truth in advertising, I swear. Why would they lie to me when they love what they sell? Plus we all know that the liars have a special fire in hell. On the television, radio, and in the magazines, the advertising gods perpetuate the American dream. Advertising, let it be, let it be. Now I know that I don't need to buy everything they try to sell me, but so easily divided is a fool and his money. There is truth in advertising, let it be. Why would they lie to me when they love what they sell? Plus we all know that the liars got a special fire in hell. On the television, radio, and in the magazines, the advertising gods perpetuate American dream.
I don't know how else to say this, so I'll just say it outright. Advertising in the 90s was fucking weird, man. We gave face and form to the strangest concepts and then held them up as icons. And while Domino's clearly holds one of the most famous and bizarre mascot stories with the Noid, they weren't to be outdone. Pizza Hut were gonna do what they could to fight back, and thus they created a character themselves. A character the exact opposite of the Noid, in fact. A character who doesn't hate pizza, but is pizza. In 1991, Pizza Hut created the Pizza Head Show, a live-action spoof show used in their commercials to advertise promotions and new kinds of pizza, hosted by a piece of pizza himself named aptly Pizza Head, whose face was made out of different toppings. Written by comedy writer Walter Williams and produced by San Francisco advertising agency Goodby Silverstein and Partners, the series of commercials were attempting to convey the message that Pizza Hut meant weird fun, and boy did they succeed at that. Walter Williams, for those not in the know, was the man who created the Mr. Bill Show for SNL, and the commercials were done in the exact same style. Stop motion with high-pitched voices that also were eerily similar to the Mr. Bill segments, with each commercial featuring Pizza Head getting into a jam of some kind, only to have the host of the commercials represented by a hand, not unlike Mr. Hands himself from Mr. Bill, to assure Pizza Head that his good buddy Steve was there to help him. For context, Steve was nothing but a pizza cutter, and ultimately Pizza Head's nemesis, who always wishes to do him bodily harm. Once Pizza Head recognizes Steve then proceeds to do said harm to Pizza Head and at times the restaurant itself before the narrator would announce, "See you next time," followed by a promotion. These were produced, as I said, as an attempt to try and attract kids and preteens to their business. This was not an unusual tactic in the mid-90s, actually. For some reason, in that period of time, companies went completely gaga over the young consumer group known as children and teenagers, and went to sometimes inane lengths to appeal to them, which birthed stuff like this. Turns out it was something that worked, because Pizza Head was an instant hit, and for the next 4 years, he would be seen in at least 16 commercials total. And yet, he and the rest of the cast seemingly vanished into thin air sometime in '97 without any explanation or fanfare whatsoever, which is odd, because in a way, Pizza Head was ahead of the curve. Shortly after his creation, we'd get mascots like the Taco Bell Chihuahua and other such oddities, so he really was somewhat of a trendsetter in the weird ad culture of the 90s. And yet, come '97, with no rhyme or reason, Pizza Head and gang went off the air, and nobody seemed to notice. The thing is, Pizza Hut has never really had an ongoing mascot. In fact, ask anyone, even most advertisers themselves, and they'd likely tell you that the red roof is the symbol for the company, which started in the 70s, but I feel like only really in the last decade or so has become iconic in the sense of branding. But before that, they had one other mascot named Pizza Pete, a mascot so forgotten by time that he doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. In 1959, when brothers Frank and Dan Carney decided to take advantage of the pizza craze sweeping the country and open the first Pizza Hut, they needed, of course, a mascot. At the time, however, troops returning home couldn't find the same quality pizza they had tasted during their expeditions to Italy while in the Allied forces, and seeing as Italy and pizza go hand in hand, it makes sense that Pizza Pete would be just that, your stereotypical Italian man. Introduced in 1969, his image was eventually plastered on storefronts, cups, and even made into a kid's toy by the mid-70s. And then, just like with Pizza Hut after him, he was retired without warning or explanation. And perhaps in this day and age, Pizza Pete would be considered too crass or offensive, or just too on the nose. I mean, surely we've all gotten over the whole slightly overweight Italian pizza maker image, right? That's just so stereotypical. At the time, it was identifiable, but after a while, what starts out as simply identifiable becomes kind of hurtful, even if not originally intended to be so. Imagine, though, being replaced by a roof. Here are two different mascots, arguably the only two mascots the company has ever had, and both of them, despite both being fairly popular in their own ways, were discontinued silently and essentially forgotten by culture. And their replacement is a roof? A roof? Come on, that's just mean. But this is the way the ad world works. Sometimes a mascot might seem popular, but they don't hit that peak pop culture icon status, and then they slowly fade away like a dying star into that good night. All right, that was a little poetic even for us, but you know what we mean. Pizza Pete, for what he's worth, was a pretty basic concept, and it's understandable why he'd go away. There have been countless numbers of human mascots who've just disappeared into the ether, never to be thought of again. In fact, there's so many, we could probably do an entire series based on those guys alone. But Pizza Head was another story altogether. He was unique. He was easily identifiable. I mean, who the hell doesn't know what pizza looks like? And he was appealing. He had mass market appeal. So the decision to retire him, especially with neither recognition to do so or a replacement of any kind, makes very little sense. And yet that's just how things go, isn't it? He was popular, but he wasn't the Noid popular. The Noid, who vanished in '95, eventually made a comeback in 2021, while Pizza Head remains forever missing in action. The Noid is fondly remembered. In the end, I suppose the real lesson to take from this is that people like to hate things more than they like to like things. The Noid's entire character hinges on the destruction, or at the very least attempted destruction, of the very product he's made to promote. Somehow I guess that's more relatable and appealing than simply a slice of talking pizza. Who likes what he does? Here lies yet another pizza he's destroyed, I guess. Since there's no real ending to this story and we started to wind down on kind of a bummer, here's a fun fact. At some point in time, Pizza Head was actually referred to as Mr. Bill's cousin. Don't even begin to ask me how that family tree works, because I'd rather not go into specifics on how to properly inseminate a pizza. There's a lot of things we'll discuss on this show, but that isn't one of them.
He's always hit by all this trouble, just like everybody else. But then he always gets out of it, and everybody else does too. He's just a classic person. Well, slice of pizza, whatever.
If you're hungry and you want something to eat,